Hello, fellow dragons, it's Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming, and hello, welcome back to another game that is just full of dead, dread, and all the other icky things that you don't want to deal with in life. This is called Mortal Shell. It is a very much inspired Dark Souls game that is literally balls to the wall of death, gloom, and all the other bits and pieces in between. It is hard, but not as hard as you would think. It's currently in an open beta, so this is what they're basically allowing the beta players to play. And it's a demo that you can get on Epic at the moment, and it is really there for anyone that is a Dark Souls fan. There is a dodge mechanic, there is a new mechanic which is called hardening, where you harden the shell around your body. I'll get back into that in a minute. There is plenty of the stamina and health sort of balancing that you have to balance, whether you're going to impale yourself on the sword and go for that last hit so you can win, and all sorts of other very Dark Soulsy kind of concepts in it. But at the same time, this is talking in its own language. It's talking about its own self. It's very much a different game. Now, I go back to the very first part about the hardening, which is something that I think what will really set this game apart. Because one thing that any Dark Souls player that ever plays Dark Souls or anything like Dark Souls, they all know about invincibility frames, or what is collectively known in the community as iframes, or invincibility frames. And it's these little instances of time that you have this point where you can dodge an attack, or you can move around an enemy in just the right way, even though normally they'd hammer you and sort of destroy you, but because you can roll, or because you can move in a certain way at a certain time with your actions, you can avoid damage. This sort of cuts that concept out and uses something that's called a hardening, where if you crouch down on the L trigger, you can harden the shell of your character and effectively take one hit and then hammer straight back at people. So this is a really interesting mechanic that is explored quite well in this beta and shows really quite well what they're trying to get at saying a shell and mortal shell. Now, the basic gist of the mortal shell is that you are a spirit that has refused to die. So you inhabit the dead bodies of warriors that have died. So you're effectively inhabiting a mortal shell. Now, when your life ends in that mortal shell, it's not over. You get a second chance, like Sekiro, but unlike Sekiro, it's not divine blood or anything like that. It's actually your soul trying to rush back into the body in quick enough time. But if you get damaged or hit by enemies, you're dead, and you get restarted at whatever spawn point you're currently at, which is a really fascinating thing. The upgrade tree is also another fascinating thing, where you take tar, which is a magical sort of essence in its own right, and you use that to channel your character up. But you also need glimpses, which is basically an insight kind of concept to add to that insight as well. The shell that you inhabit when you first start, you have no idea what it is. So it's a really deep dive mechanic kind of game, and I think that's why a lot of people are calling this harder than Dark Souls. But it's not harder than Dark Souls. It's much different than Dark Souls and even Sekiro. Actually, it comes closer to being almost Sekiro at some point too, with the deflection concept. But again, it's all about timing. It's all about learning your monsters that you're facing, and learning how to fight things as you go. And this game has so much interesting stuff. Now, what you watch later on after I've stopped talking, it's running right now. So this is basically the tutorial area where you basically going through all the bits and pieces, going through the ups and downs of everything, and you're learning the basic mechanics of the game. But again, it doesn't prepare you, because very later on in the next section of the game, you get a second shell, and the second shell has a different setup altogether. It has a much bigger endurance bar and a smaller health bar, so it's a flighty character that can move very fast, but is basically a glass cannon. So I'm really interested in this game. I've been watching it for quite some time, and the fact that they've opened up a beta or a demo, depending on how you look at it, which gives you two distinct sort of areas to look at around what the world's all about, it's really riveting and it's really enticing, and it's a nice fresh, okay, I'm being a Dark Souls game, but I'm being my own game, and that's what really makes this game sound, feel, and just give you that sort of adrenaline shaking rush that you get from a normal Dark Souls game, where you're going, okay, I've just got to beat this guy, then get all my souls back there, go back to the thing, recharge myself, and then go through it again so that I can get further this time. Oh, I got killed by the first enemy. Bugger! And you go back and forth. It's really, really well done, and the visuals for this game, and I'm running at 144 Hz. Okay, the footage does not show how fast I'm running it, but I'm running at 144 Hz, and it is so smooth, it's so clean. And I'm running it on, what am I running it on? Ryzen 2700 with an XT 5700 XT. So, and it runs buttery smooth. So the optimization and the design for it and everything is superb. This game looks superb, it feels superb, and I suggest you go and have a look at the beta for it, because it is such a great game to have a play of. And it also makes you appreciate some of the mechanics that are in Dark Souls that have been applied here but have not been applied at the same time. There's new twists, new ways of looking at all the things and everything. One thing that I found really interesting is I use mushrooms for health, and they regenerate over time in the real world. So you could actually sit there and farm the mushrooms for as many as you can for that particular thing as it regrows. But it doesn't give you health straight away, it gives you health over time. But yeah, I haven't finished the demo yet. It's very difficult. I just recently got to the next section past where I die at the end of this sort of gameplay, and it's really enticing, and I cannot recommend this game highly enough at the moment. I'm very tempted to see what the end result is, and I'm very tempted to see what the finished product will look like, because the guys that have done this, who are, let's see, on the website, the developers are Cold Symmetry, and the publisher is PlayStack Limited. So yeah, check it out on Epic, free demo download, well worth the play, well worth the look, well worth your time. Of course, if you're not a Dark Souls person, hey, you can have a look at the world and it looks pretty. So yeah, other than that, thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, or the dislike, both work, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye!
specimen. Rather dashing in that curious attire. And what of on the inside? You must be a gentleman. Certainly not one of those boorish fanatics. Welcome then. I'll warm some tea. In the meantime, why not take a look at my wares? Surely there's something you'll fancy amongst my collection.
Eager for another taste, foundling? Not so hasty. Not all places are as friendly as Fulcrum. There won't be any merriment around the bonfire here. Only the dead call this place home. All that remains are scavengers gnawing on bones. An intruder like yourself will not be welcome. So then, would you like another sip?
Shunned by the devout, their allegiances lie to those who are Fatah, or spirits. They entertain themselves with drunken antics or violent cruelties. They know better than to attack us. But they followed us at a distance, hoping for scraps.